most people, their associations are to avoid anything that's uncomfortable. But it's so illogical, because when you look at comfort and you look at success and progress and the feelings of accomplishment and of getting past certain hurdles in terms of like how you feel about life, a lot of those are connected to discomfort. Like, discomfort is your friend.
A lot of people say, oh, I just want to sort of, they're kind of dabbling in the idea of improving themselves. And the real way to do it is you got to write down what the you want and then go after it. Because otherwise you live in sort of a wishy-washy world. You know, if you decide, I'm going to get down to bang, I'm going to do this, I'm going to run a marathon in less than 5 hours, I'm going to, whatever the it is, you got to write that down and go for it.
There's been many days where I didn't want to work out. I just didn't feel like I had the energy, and I just forced myself. And I think there's very few people out there that know how to force themselves. That's a learned, that's a learned skill. It's that kind of discipline and focus. You have to have like real rigid requirements of yourself, where you don't allow yourself to back out of things, and you don't allow yourself to slack off. And I don't think people put those kind of requirements on themselves as if it's it is a daily principle of life, like what you must get done. You know, you must brush your teeth, you must exercise for 45 minutes. And if you did that, I think you'd be healthier and happier, and your body would perform more smoothly. And if you require your body to do things like that, I think it rises to the occasion. There are very few people that have that kind of discipline. So because of that, they come up with excuses. And excuses are a giant part of the problem. It's not simply a physical health issue. There's also mental aspects of it, and discipline's a big one. I just know way too many people who are weak mentally. And I can't just chalk it off to only, their physical, the way they physically feel, because I felt like shit 100 times, and then I worked out, and then I felt way better. Yeah. It's just a fact of life. That's real. You just gotta. And people don't know how to do that. And it's not. And if you're used to doing this, get in your car, sit down, drive to the office, sit down, go to the lunch, sit down, go to the board meeting, sit down. Get in your car on the way home, sit down. Get home in front of the TV, sit down. Then go to the gym. They don't have any energy. Their body's like, I don't have it in me to do this. And I don't believe that. I think it's a lot of it is the mindset. But there's been many people that have just put their foot down and said, enough. I'm going to change my life. And they don't take any excuses, and they feel way better. Diet is most certainly a part of that, but there's also a discipline aspect. And these things are not mutually exclusive. They exist together. They're all together. And they work symbiotically. The way your mindset affects the choices you make with your diet. And the mindset also affects the choices you make in terms of like whether or not you require yourself to exercise. And I think these are critical aspects that people like to gloss over, or they like to make excuses about. And they get very angry if you don't accept those excuses. And that's a sign that they're trying to enforce this standard and this idea and push it on you and give themselves an excuse. It's one of the reasons why they get angry. It's one thing if someone has a legit physical issue like you do, but there's a lot of people who do not. They just have poor diet choices, they have a sedentary lifestyle, and they have the momentum of this sedentary lifestyle that's holding them back. They're accustomed to being lazy. To give people this excuse, I don't have the energy to exercise, that is crazy to say. Can you walk to the refrigerator? Yes. Well, you can exercise. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just walk around the block. There's 80-year-old ladies who take yoga with me. They're really old, and they're in there. They're going after it. They could easily say, I don't have the energy to do that. But they don't. It's a mental attitude. They make a decision.
I agree. Like, there's a lot of it's discipline. You're going to get people who just won't exercise.
You don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to go to a CrossFit class and ttry to do the workout of the day. You don't have to go nuts and do clean and presses with 150 pounds. You don't have to do that, but you have to do something. Just get your blood moving. Your body has requirements. It wants to move. It really does. And when it does, you feel better. But people like to give themselves this excuse. I do not have the energy to do this. Whatever. If you decide that, that's true. But if you watch a motivational video, there's 100 of them on YouTube, thousands even. Go watch one, you'll get fired up. You're like, and I'm going to jump some rope. You jump some rope, you do something. Just do some push-ups, do something, do some bodyweight squats. You'll feel better. But it's also like learning that and having that as a part of your daily life. You can do it. There's a lady who's like 450 pounds that takes yoga with me. She's enormous. She's in there. Which is probably really very hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, and she's in there. Anyone could do it. We can do it. And again, I'm not saying do what Michael Phelps does. I'm just saying just do something. Got to do something. We have up lifestyles. The lifestyles that people have are just, the human body is not designed to sit down all day, and it's certainly not designed to be stuck in traffic and be in an office and just be, fluorescent lights just sitting there in front of a computer monitor watching your soul get sucked through the LCD screen. It's crazy. If you make furniture for a living, and you feel a great satisfaction out of that, and you sell that furniture, look, man, making furniture feels good. If you can do that, you could cut those corners perfectly and sand everything down nice and stain it, and then it's done, and you get the satisfaction, and you sell it to someone, and that pays your bills. That is infinitely more satisfying than being stuck in some cubicle working for someone that you don't want to work for, having to have these stupid fucking office meetings, talking to people in human resources, sitting down with your supervisor where they evaluate your job performance, and you're not really, you really need to be enthusiastic about this company. This company is your future. This kind of you're like, kill me now. There's a lot of people out there that would way rather do something else, and I hope they understand that they can. I didn't start out thinking this is going to replace my income. This is going to be, I just did it as a passion project. And I think if people have a regular day job, if you could just find one thing that you do as a passion project and just keep building on it, just keep watering it, keep adding fertilizer, keep giving it attention, keep giving it focus, and you can escape. You can escape, and you can be self-serving. You could be okay. And people that are trapped in bad situations, one of the problems is you feel like this is your future. You feel like and you can't get out of that. There's no hope. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no rainbow. And if you feel like that alone can be incredibly defining and limiting. But if you can look at yourself objectively and say, okay, I kind of am here. I'm in credit card debt. I'm working in a shitty job. I don't like what I'm doing, but I have some ideas. I need to feed those ideas. And I need to feed them and water them, and I need to set aside a certain amount of time every day to just try to make those things happen. You can do that.
The thing that makes people the most sad in life, and I already have a couple of friends my own age who are there, is the regrets, right? They're not sorry they failed. They're sorry they didn't try. And the funny thing is, some of them are only 50 and they think, okay, my window to try is already gone, which is wrong too. But folks, you will be so happy. There's so many things that have happened in my life because I got my first talk radio show job. I was a reporter. I covered this story. There was some big guy showing up at the local radio station. And as I was leaving, I wrote a letter to the program director to say, thanks for having us. And I thought, do I mail this? Do I not mail it? Do I mail it? And just, I closed my eyes and I mailed it. He called me 2 days later. He said, you want a job? What if you didn't send that letter? It's so stupid. The little things that your life can hinge on. But if you don't do them, you don't give fate an opportunity to intervene.
I think here's an important thing, too. Failure is important.
It is important.
I think failure teaches you things that you don't learn from success. I think failure gives you an opportunity for self-examination. It also gives you a feeling that is very uncomfortable. And that very uncomfortable feeling helps you grow. That when you feel like shit, you screw something up, like when I've had bad podcasts, my podcast has always gotten better afterwards. When I've had bad stand-up sets, I've always gotten better after that because those bad sets motivate you. They give you a perspective like, hey, here's some clear examples of where you up.
What not to do.
Yeah, don't look at these failures as like proof that you suck. Look at them as opportunities for growth. Look at them as opportunities to be motivated to do better.
If you hate your job, that is like nature telling you to try something different. And it's motivating because the motivation is you might not have to do that soul-killing job anymore.
Well, if you look at someone who's doing really well, like say if you focus on like Kevin Hart or someone like that, some very famous and successful comedian, all you see is him now flying around private jets, wearing a new pair of sneakers every day, driving around in Bentleys. You just see that. You don't see him being a young kid in Philadelphia, going to open mic nights, scratching and clawing,
MC Hammer
jokes.
Selling the tapes out of the hatchback.
All that stuff, man. There's a path. And we think of people like, you see an old person walking down the street, you go, oh, that person's always been an old person. No, that was a baby. that was a baby that became a 90-year-old man. There's a progression that you're not witness to. You don't see it. And that takes place in everything. It takes place in authors. It takes place in comedians and musicians. There is a starting point, and then with time and focus, and as long as you reevaluate and reassess and constantly objectively look at what you're doing and then pursue it with passion and focus, you get better at things.